Welcome to Forgotten Video Store.
Forgotten Video Store.
Thank you. Your guide to the best movies you've never seen, also the worst movies you've never seen. I'm David Murto. I'll be your host. Who am I? I'm a movie fanatic. I have a degree in film studies, and I've worked in the film and TV business for over a decade. I've written some stuff you might have seen if you have very small children, or if you are a very small child.
That's the target audience, I think, for this podcast is very small children.
Yeah, this is a toddler podcast, damn it.
It's kind of like ASMR for kids who are having trouble going to sleep.
If you can't afford the white noise devices that they're trying to sell you, just throw this on the speakers.
I'm told that my voice is soothing enough to make a baby go to sleep.
And to offset the abrasiveness of my voice. Yeah. Okay, so what is this show? It kind of grew out of my love for video stores.
Yeah.
You know, not too long ago, pretty much everyone would go to the video store on the weekend, pick out a few tapes, and just have a good time.
It was too long ago, in my opinion.
It was too long ago. Yeah. And you could discover new movies that way. Now, of course, in the era of streaming, video stores are few and far between, but there are still some really great ones out there. Yeah. There's Movie Madness in Portland, Oregon. I absolutely love that place. Videotech in Highland Park, Vidiots in Eagle Rock. But my favorite of all has to be the Forgotten Video Store in North Hollywood. They have the most obscure movies you can imagine. Many of them are like bootlegs of stuff that was never officially released.
So it's not the store that was forgotten. It was the video.
It's kind of both at this point because it's like, I think there was like one other guy when we were in there. So it's like no one goes there anymore and the movies are forgotten.
And I feel like I had driven past this place, I don't know, 50, 60 times and always wondered like what it was like inside. So thank you for
you had never been there before?
I'd never gone inside before.
Oh, well, I'm happy this was your maiden voyage. So basically on the show, I'm going to invite a friend to go with me to this video store. We're going to pick out a movie that neither of us have seen, and we're going to watch it together, and then we'll discuss it here on the pod. And I have two guarantees that I want to promise the audience. My first guarantee is that we're going to cover movies that are not available to stream anywhere.
Right.
And my second guarantee is that you have not seen any of these movies. And if someone, a listener, has seen one of these movies and can prove that they've seen it before I talk about it on the pod, then they'll win a fabulous prize.
How will they know in advance which...
They won't, but if they can say like, oh, I've seen that and I can prove it, like I have my ticket stub or whatever, then they'll win a fabulous prize.
Will they know what the prize is beforehand? Or
it's a $25 gift card to Fry's Electronics.
Not to the Forgotten Video Store?
No.
To Fry's that isn't open anymore.
Why do you think I still have the gift card? Okay, so why am I doing this? It's kind of as a celebration of home video and video stores, and also kind of a takedown of streaming. I'm very disillusioned with streaming, and I want to spread the good word about some overlooked movies. And I talked to the mayor of podcasting, and he said there's room on the internet for one more podcast.
This is the last one.
This is the last one.
It's kind of like the Haunted Mansion. There's room for one more.
That's true.
Out of 999 happy haunts, we got one more. Room for 1,000, you know?
Yeah, so there were 999 million podcasts, and there was room for one more, and this is it. This is that podcast, so here I am. And you're probably wondering, who's my guest? I've been talking to him for a few minutes now.
I so rudely interrupted your introduction.
Hey, I'll take all the help I can get. I don't know what I'm doing. My guest here is pop culture journalist Mike Celestino, also my good friend. We've known each other many years. We met each other when we both worked at the ArcLight, which was the late lamented ArcLight.
Another thing that doesn't exist anymore.
It was a high-end movie theater at the time in Hollywood. The Cinerama Dome may be the most famous part of it. And I feel like now it wouldn't even stick out as being high-end. Because like all the comfy seats, like the assigned seating, the introductions and stuff, like everyone has that
ArcLight
now.
really pioneered all that stuff, though.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. So you were there as a projectionist.
Yeah, for about a decade.
Yeah, I was just like the dude cleaning up the popcorn and introducing the movies beforehand. Yeah, it was a good time. There was always a rumor that it was run by Scientologists.
Right.
Is that true?
I've heard I've heard both yes and no. I've heard people debunking it and I've heard people confirming it. So much like Scientology, the answer remains an enigma.
Yeah, I also never got confirmation, but a lot of the times, like on my break, the managers would offer me a stress test, and I just thought that was them being polite. So Mike,
Yes.
what are you up to? What's your what kind of stuff do you get up
There's
to?
too much going on in my life right now.
Okay.
As you mentioned, I am a pop culture or entertainment news journalist. I work for a website called Laughing Place, and the focus there is on Disney. But my little corner of that universe is Star Wars specifically. And then also I cover the Southern California theme parks. So I often will go down to Disneyland for work or Knott's Berry Farm.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You got this job by making a wish on a monkey's paw.
Yeah, that's right.
This is a movie podcast, right? So what are your like movie bona fides? We talk about you're an entertainment journalist, but you studied film, right?
Studied film at USC. I was a creative writing major, but I couldn't get into the film school. They didn't let me in there, but I took a lot of critical studies film courses, and I didn't really do the production stuff there. I took production courses at LA City College a little bit later on, but yeah, it was a great experience there. Learned a lot. Got to see a lot of great movies on the big screen that I wouldn't have otherwise because they have their, USC has its own movie theater and they do like weekly screenings of classic stuff on film. Back then it was on film. I don't know about now. And then, yeah, like you said, I was a projectionist for a decade. So
true or false, you directed an award-winning movie.
That is true. I directed a feature documentary called That's Not Funny, which won a couple awards at a few small film festivals. It's about the history of controversy in comedy. And I thinking back on that movie, I consider it kind of like a catharsis because it was something at that point in my life. I was kind of like an angry young man. Although
like Billy Joel warned us about.
Yeah, like Billy Joel warned us about. Yeah, exactly. I was in my early 30s and I had this obsession with people getting offended by comedy and wanting comedy to be not censored necessarily, but wanting comedy to play it safe, which I definitely was against. I think I'm very proud of the way the movie came out. It's kind of like a video essay, and you see a lot of those nowadays on YouTube and stuff. But
it is on YouTube. People can watch it, right?
It's not so.
What the hell?
It is on YouTube.
You got DCMA'd?
It's on YouTube, but it's set to private right now.
Oh, okay.
For a variety of reasons that I won't go into here. But yeah, I don't know. You can't really find it anywhere. It is kind of one of those lost movies, actually. Is that a good segue?
That. Yeah, that's a great segue. Yeah, so today you picked out a movie called The Hat Man from 2014. It was directed by Scott Stewart, who directed Legion, the movie with Paul Bettany, not Legion, the TV show. He also directed Priest, also with Paul Bettany. The movie starred Katie Loates, who I was trying to place the whole time, and finally I Googled her, and she's from Mad Men. Remember the real Mrs. Draper, who he has to go and visit? It was her niece.
Right.
And the movie also features a surprise performer who is not listed in the opening credits. Kind of reminded me of like in Seven, where you don't know when
Kevin Spacey.
Right, and so like it's even more shocking.
Right.
When he shows up. But
you're not going to say who that is right now.
No, we'll get to it when we get to that point in the movie. So why did you pick out The Hat Man?
Well, from the box cover, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Slender Man.
A lot like the Slender Man, yeah.
You know, I saw the documentary. There's like an HBO documentary about Slender Man, which I thought was great.
About those
like
girls who stabbed their friend. Yeah.
And then there was also a narrative movie that I did not see called The Slender Man. But
that was a few years after The Hat Man, right?
Yeah, so Hat Man really beat them to it.
I don't know. Was Hat Man an internet character?
I don't know. Is that where the origin of this?
I thought he was real.
It's one of those guys you would see like in silhouette in the woods from a distance. Mm-hmm. And the shape of the hat kind of, when I first saw it, it reminded me a little bit of the man in the yellow hat from
Curious George. Yeah. So basically, let's get into what the movie's all about. At the beginning, you kind of see like lady in her bedroom, like reading her stories or whatever, and the little creepy kid comes in and is like, Grandma, Grandma, who was the man in the hallway? And she's like, what? It's like, who was the man in the hallway with the hat and the coat? And and you're like, okay, creepy kid. I've seen this before or whatever. I see it every day. I have a creepy kid.
Right.
And so then the grandma's like, oh, you were just dreaming or something. So like, and I was like scared at first, and then I'm like, okay, so he probably was just dreaming and there wasn't a guy in the house who had a hat or whatever. So then we kind of meet the main character who's like, she's in her 20s, but she's going to high school. Like, that's just a convention. We have to go with that, right?
And we find out that she's related to the kid.
Right. She's like...
That's her cousin. The young kid was her cousin.
And you find that out at the funeral, like late in the movie. That's like, oh, hi, cousin. You know how you always introduce yourself to your cousins by saying hi, cousin?
Well, I remember Balki Bartakamus doing that, but can't say that.
I don't know what that is. That an old person reference?
It really is. There's a little sitcom called Perfect Strangers.
Oh, okay.
This is my contribution to this podcast is going to be
tying it back to old.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, so we get to Katie Lotes, and she's like going to high school. She's like hanging out with her friends, and her friends all look like real haggard, like something's wrong. It's like they haven't been sleeping well, and she's like, "Oh, what's going on?" They're like, "I don't want to." They're like, "I can't tell you," and she's like, "No, you can tell me anything." And like the friend is like, "No, I can't tell you because if I tell you, it'll happen to you."
Right.
And it's like, so it's like one of these curse things. It's like
It Follows.
Right, It Follows, which was around the same time, and kind of The Ring, I felt, or Ringu, the Japanese one, was kind of like set the template for these kind of movies where it's like a curse that goes from person to person. Yeah. Very cool. Smile, I think nowadays is like the same kind of. Have you seen Smile?
I haven't seen Smile, but I saw. Is it Talk to Me?
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah,
I like that.
One.
Yeah, so it's one of these kind of things. So it's like, oh, it's a curse, and if she finds out what it is, then it'll happen to her, which is like weird because then it's like chunk of the movie is just her going and covering her ears when people start talking about it. But so like these people are looking all haggard and they're like, oh, I was up all night, but I wasn't up all night for good fun, but I was up all night to the sun. And you're like, what? So why is he saying it like that?
What I thought was weird was that one of her friends was like excited about this whole thing and like wanted
it to keep going, like wanted to share with her, and that's
exactly
that was the scene where she covered her. So it's happened to all her friends, and she's trying not to find out about it. How's it end up that it happens to her?
Was the radio broadcast?
There's like a student. It was like a student radio, right? It wasn't like a real radio station. Yeah. First, they were playing Imagine Dragons, and I was like, okay, so we're in 2014 right now. Imagine Dragons is hot, and then like they're like, no, we're going to the epidemic of sleepy spookies that's going around. It's kids, they're kind of half awake, half asleep, right? And then it sounds like sleep paralysis. And when you finally see the scene of it happening to someone, they're like all frozen stiff,
right?
And like just moving their eyes, and they look all scared, except for the one character who likes it, and so he's got a big grin on his face. So it's like sleep. Have you ever had sleep paralysis?
I have, yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I don't see like
the figures.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I just am awake and I can't move, and I have to like convince myself to fully wake up.
Right. Yeah. It happened to me one time after like a long drive.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to lay down and just rest. And then I was like half asleep, but I was like, oh, someone's in the room with me. I'm going to jump up and scare them.
Yeah.
But I couldn't move. And I'm like, I didn't know what was happening. And then finally I could move and there was no one there. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm the one who got scared. But anyway, so that's what's happening to these characters. It's like they can't move, and then the Hat Man shows up, and it's real scary. And you don't see him for the first half of the movie. He's just like all dark. And when people talk about them, they're like, oh, yeah, he's wearing a hat or whatever and a big coat and a tall hat.
It's weird that, he is wearing a hat and a coat, and yet they refer to him only as the Hat Man.
Like the hat.
They're omitting at least half, if not more, of his outfit.
We're not going to rent a movie called The Hat and Coat Man. Or like the guy who's bundled up.
guy appropriately dressed for the weather.
Yeah, so this stuff happens, and then they're talking about it on the radio, and then like Katie Lotz is like, she like starts hearing it. It's like, oh no, they're gonna say the thing, and is like,
and she's driving at the time, so she wants to cover her ears, but she knows she can't, or she's gonna swerve off the road.
Right, because she's like on a highway situation where she's like driving fast or whatever, and she could just change the station or like go quick turn it off.
Right,
but she doesn't. And that it's not clear why she doesn't, but she just doesn't. And then she hears like people are like, as they're falling asleep, are getting frozen, and they see a figure coming in, and we know it's real because all of them describe the same man appearing to them in the house. Oh, that's scary, because like if it was a hallucination, you'd expect it to be different from person to person or whatever. Right. And then they're like, but it was probably just like your brain like makes like tries to identify patterns. It like sees faces in trees and stuff.
Pareidolia? Paraphilia? No, I can't remember.
Pareidolia sounds right. Pareidolia.
Yeah. Oh, that was pretty close.
Looks like I know how to Google things. So that's what they describe on the radio broadcast. So like, for like 10 seconds, you're like, oh, this is scary. And then they completely deflate it by explaining the scientific idea behind it. But it gets scary again the next day when she's at school. Now she starts sitting at lunch with the kids who have seen him, because she's like one of them now. And it's like, it's too late because she's heard about it. And so she goes and sits with them, and they're like, this one kid is like, the Hat Man grabbed my throat and look. And like the marks were there, like, from
it's a little Freddy Krueger. It's a little derivative.
It's a lot like Freddy Krueger. Like people are afraid. Here's where it's a little different. In Nightmare on Elm Street, they can't go to sleep. In this, it's like if you try to stay awake, it doesn't matter, because it's like the halfway point between awake and asleep is where it happens anyway. Yeah. So it's slightly different.
It's like the taint of sleep.
Yeah, when you're in the taint of sleep, you might call it the Twilight Zone. But one of the characters says, "Oh, it's the David Warner character, who we'll get to in a minute." But he says it's like it exists in the bloodlines between awake and asleep, and you're like, okay, that's weird. But okay, so the character, they had their throat grabbed by the Hat Man, real scary stuff, and she's like freaking out. And then that's the first time it happens to her. She's like at home in her bed, and she's like too scared, has all the lights on, but thinking like that's gonna help her, but it doesn't. And like she sees like the figure like come like phase through the door, like doesn't open the door, but like just walks right through it. And you don't get a good look at the face yet. There's like a close up on Katie Lotz's face, and she's like looking real scared. And then you hear the voice, and it's like real pleasant, and like oh, it's like actually the Hat Man has a nice voice, and it's like he's like, I've been looking forward to meeting you. And it's like, oh, he kind of sounds like a cool guy. Right. But like, I guess you don't want anyone like coming into your room when you're sleeping.
Sure.
So the next day she goes to the library, and it's like in the old movies, this would be like the microfiche scene. You know what I mean? Where like the character goes, I need to see like the old newspapers or whatever the hell. But she's just like going, it's modern day. So she's like, just goes on the internet, and you're like, why didn't she just
use her phone? Or
because you see her with a smartphone in other parts of the movie. But I think
you have to have the library scene, so you get it.
So she's researching about this, but then there's like this extended part where this old woman is like, can you help me use the printer? And she's like, yeah, I'll help you use the printer. And she helps this woman use the printer, and she prints off like a bunch of flyers. Weirdly, it follows, there's like this long tangent where in the movie where it follows the old lady, and the old lady's like putting up these flyers around town. And then you see this guy, and it's that actor who's from Girls, who plays Allison Williams's first boyfriend in the early, like the first two seasons. It's like Christopher or something.
I don't remember.
Right.
I have seen all of Girls.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah. But so it was probably around the same time that this movie came out that he was on Girls. Right. So it was like he was like making a career for himself. But like anyway, so it's him.
He's no Adam Driver.
Right. Yeah. But so it's him, and he sees the old lady like putting up the flyers, and like the first flyer is like, want to order home cooked meals delivered straight to your home. Here's, and then her phone number. And then right under that, it was like hiring home meal cooks or whatever, and it's like the same phone number. And then the third one was like hiring drivers with the same phone number, and the guy from Girls is like, "Excuse me, so do you you have someone else cook the meals and then someone else delivers them?" And she's like, "Yes, that's right." And at this point, I'm like, what does this have to do with the Hat Man? Like, is this thematically going to tie, or some of these people going to start seeing? And then like and he's like, "So what do you do?" And she's like, "I came up with the idea, so I get half the money." And you're like, I guess that's pretty cool. And at this point, I'm thinking maybe as like a side hustle, I could do this, because it doesn't sound that hard if you're not doing any of the work. And then he's like, "Oh, how'd you come up with this idea?" And she's like, "I have lots of business ideas. I wear lots of hats." And you're like, oh, so it's like, is she the Hat Man?
Or in this universe, do other people also wear hats, is what you're thinking.
Anyway, so Katie Lotes is at the library. She's researching about like who's the Hat Man or whatever, and she's like, oh, she finds like the top demonologist from Cambridge, and is like done the most studies on this kind of shit or whatever. And she's like, "I'll go see him." And that's David Warner's character. And David Warner's like from Titanic. He's like Billy Zane's Toady or whatever. So he plays the top demonologist from Cambridge. And so she goes to his house, and then you're like, what? I thought this movie was like in Middle America, and she's like at the Cambridge professor's house. Did she fly there?
Right.
Is the movie actually in Cambridge? Like I was very confused at this point, but it kind of doesn't matter. But he's, you got to have the expert character. So he's
I could have used one of the, like an Indiana Jones map.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Like the red line trout. So, you get a context of where they are geographically.
Yeah, that would have made the movie a lot scarier. So she goes to David Warner, and David Warner's like, and she's like, the kids in my school, we've been seeing the Hat Man and stuff. And so he's like, the ancients called them succubi or whatever. And it's like, and the Islamists called them the jinn and stuff. And it's like, but we modern day, we call them the shadow people. So they're the shadow people who appear to us like in times of dark. And that's when he says, they exist in the bloodlines between wake and sleep. So she's like, oh, that's real scary. And he's like, what do they want? And he's like, no one knows what they want. And she's like, how do we stop it? He's like, they will stop at nothing. He's like, do you want some tea or whatever? And then he goes, and she sees like he's got the hand marks around his throat. So you're like, oh, the Hat Man like is after him too. Another part is like they're at the school, and like they're like, let's put our heads together. How can we stop the Hat Man? And he's like, well, maybe if we're all together and we can catch him. But it's like, oh, but we freeze or whatever.
Well, one of them has a theory that if you were to remove the hat, that he would lose his influence, his power.
It's like a Samson's hair type of thing. But it's like, how do we remove his hat? We can't even move when he appears. We're frozen. I don't think they say sleep paralysis in the movie.
Right.
But that's what
I don't know if that had that entered the common parlance yet. I guess there was
in 2014. It wasn't that long ago.
I guess so,
11 years ago.
Right.
But then that one kid who likes it, he's like, actually, when the Hat Man appears, I'm happy. So they're like, maybe if we all get together and like some of us stay fully awake. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, so the Hat Man appears to some of them, and then the other ones can like jump in.
It's like bed bugs. Bed bugs come out when you're sleeping, and then
is that true?
Yeah,
because you're still or something.
No, I think there's some kind of change in your
pheromones.
And in the air, the oxygen that you're exhaling. I don't know.
You don't exhale oxygen, Mike.
No, right? Whatever, carbon monoxide,
dioxide.
Bed bugs can tell when you're sleeping. Is my point, and that's where they come out of their hidey holes.
And it's the same with the Hat Man.
In theory.
Okay, so their idea is like, we're gonna catch the Hat Man like when some people are like frozen and then other people are like fully awake. So they
Right.
have like a sleepover.
The sleepover scene, yeah.
Yeah, so they're making popcorn. They're like, they don't rent any tapes. It would have been a fun sleepover, but they do play like Mario Kart
Right.
on the Wii. And it's like, okay, so this is how this movie was funded. It's like it had a Mario Kart tie-in. Very cool. You can see this coming a mile away, but the characters didn't. It's like the Hat Man only appears to the ones that are frozen, and the ones that are fully awake can't see him.
Right.
And that's when they finally reveal who's playing the Hat Man, and it's Pharrell Williams. At this point, you're like, did he only get the role because he has that big hat?
Or did they write it for him?
They
What
built
did
the
he-
whole movie around just he has a big hat. It's like 20 or 30 years ago, like Slash would have been cast in the role because he also famously has a big hat.
Which brings up an interesting tangential topic, like what musicians have made good actors over the years, and is Pharrell
Bowie.
one of them?
Pharrell, I would say he's very likable in this role.
Yeah,
But maybe
which
that's
is you wouldn't
Yeah,
think
he-
that's what they would go for,
right, because he's supposed to be like a terrifying villain. The kids like have scared faces and everything, but he just seems like a cool guy. So good. Bowie's number one. Have you seen The Man Who Fell to Earth?
I don't think I have actually.
You got to check that out.
No, I
It's
remember
so
him
good.
in Dune, David Lynch Dune. No, that's Sting. That's Sting.
Sting,
Sorry.
yeah. And he wasn't that
Labyrinth,
good.
though.
Labyrinth, yes.
Frank Sinatra acted.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Oscar winner, yeah. Manchurian Candidate's my favorite movie
Right.
with him.
Madonna did some acting.
Cher is excellent.
Yeah. And the
Moonstruck.
grand tradition of all these is Pharrell stepping into the role of.
The Hat
By the
Man.
way, I'm not up on my even decades old pop music, so I didn't even recognize him when he came out of the shadows. Like,
Oh, you didn't know that's
you
who
had
it was?
to tell me. I mean, your reaction is really what informed me of who that was. And I know he has the hat. I knew about the hat. I
Right,
just
the
didn't
hat's
know
a
his
big
face.
part of his whole thing. So they have the sleepover. You realize it's Pharrell, and he's just like, "Hi guys, how's it going?" or whatever.
Yeah, it kind of deflates the threat.
Right. They kind of all jolt awake at the same time. Oh, he was here. And the people who are awake like, we didn't see him. It's like, yeah. So that was a big bust. And then like Katie Lotes the next morning is like going to her car, and she like drops her keys, and then like opens the car and gets in, and then like the car won't start. And you're like, okay, I recognize all this from horror movies, but like they seem to have put it in the wrong place because like no one's chasing her.
Yeah.
There's no there's no stakes to like
Yeah.
if she doesn't get her car to start, it doesn't matter.
She can just go back inside and hang out more.
And which is exactly what she does.
Right.
And that's when they put on the TV and they're watching something called Dinosaur King.
It's like Tiger King, but with dinosaurs.
Right. And this was well before Tiger King.
Right. So like Tiger King meets Jurassic Park, where you kind of feel bad. You feel bad for the raptors
Yeah.
or in captivity.
I love that this meets that.
We
I
should do
saw
an episode about Dinosaur King.
I think they made it up for the movie though.
Okay, that one's not real.
I saw something that was like
Low budget horror movie DVD case.
the pull quote was Saw meets Hostel, and I'm like, I feel like those two already know each other. You know, like they don't need to meet. So anyway, like Katie Lotes is like, it's back to the drawing board or whatever. We're into like the final act of the movie where it's like, if I can just reason with Hat Man, then maybe we can get this all to stop or
Right.
whatever.
The other cool part that we start to learn in this final act, the cool things that he can do with the hat,
Yeah, he like picks it up and goes woo woo woo
Yeah.
on one finger,
like a Harlem Globetrotter kind of trick.
and that's pretty cool.
Well, we could talk about the whole Hat Man musical number.
Right.
There's a little bit of Prince from the Batman again.
Oh yeah,
kinda
yeah, yeah.
Tying it back
Bat
to-
dance. Yeah.
Yeah,
At one, so he appears to Katie Lotes. It's like the night before finals or whatever.
yeah.
She's taking her finals and she's like up late studying and kind of like drifts off at her desk in her bedroom. And then Pharrell is there. I mean, the Hat Man is there, and he, like you said, the big musical number. He's like, "I'm the man in the hat. I'm not gonna pull a gat." And the rhyme scheme is kind of A.
Right.
It's like, I come at night like a bat.
Right.
Like I sneak up like a cat. And
What
it's
you think about
that.
this? That. Yeah.
He's got the pipes. And so he really sells the performance, but at the same time, you're like, is this a horror movie? Because like this is not menacing. But then they keep cutting to Katie Lotz's face, and she's like, with the the lips drawn back as if it's the scariest thing she's ever seen.
I almost wondered if this movie was like shot with a different villain, and then
They're like, and then like we signed Pharrell.
Yeah.
We gotta get him in, and then they're like, we can't cast him and not have him sing.
It's so disjointed in that way, where there's a disconnect between what you're seeing and what it seems like she's seeing. So maybe there were some reshoots happening.
But then she takes her finals, and that's a lengthy sequence with her. You can see like the confidence growing. It's like, I do know this. It's like, thank God I studied. And you're like, there's like 10 minutes left of this movie, and we're spending a lot of time on her taking her finals. Yeah. But I guess it's, it's a good message for kids to study ahead of time, I guess. But then like, she's like, tonight's the night. I'm gonna write out all my questions for the Hat Man, so when he appears, he can answer them.
Oh, and we forgot to mention at this point, she's kind of learned how to summon the Hat
Right.
Man.
It's like every time can get to the blurred lines place, the Twilight Zone of sorts,
right,
where she's in sleep paralysis. Right. So she can summon him, and so she writes out her questions ahead of time. It's like, why do you want to hurt us or whatever? And it's like, why are you grabbing our throats? Then the Hat Man comes back, and he's like, hey, Katie Lotz, I'm back. It's me. I'm back. That kind of stuff. So she's like, kind of pointing towards her notes, and he's like, and he comes up and he looks, and it's like, why are you trying to hurt us? And he's like, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was trying to get you to sing. And like, he was, I guess, like grabbing people's throats, like trying to encourage them to like
and
use
massaging their vocal cords.
Right. Yeah. And maybe he didn't know his own strength or something.
Right.
So then she's like, but I can't move. And he's like, huh? But we can't move. And he's like, oh.
It kind of takes a while. It's kind of like a montage sequence where it's sort of like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone, setting up all the, when he has like the ropes around the dummies and stuff, and he's dancing. But it's sort of like that, but almost kind of like a Weekend at Bernie's.
So he's like, gets her up on her feet and starts like dancing around with her. You see her face, it's like real scared, and then like it starts to smile and she's having a good time. Yeah. And then it's the big reprise of the Hat Man song.
And all the friends from the sleepover come back.
Oh, we forgot to mention that she had called them earlier, and it's like,
her plan was basically like, if you don't hear from me in this amount of time, the Hat Man got me. So it's your turn to try it.
And also, my mom made brownies. And so, like, half the kids are there for the brownies and half are, like, there to check on her. They go, and she's, like, dancing around. And they can't see the Hat Man because they're fully awake. But they can see she's having a nice time. And they're all like, I guess our troubles are over. And they're all smiling. And then David Warner, like, finally publishes his book. And the old lady, like, gets her first customers for the meal delivery service.
Now, the twist is that she had customers sign up, but she didn't get anyone to cook or deliver the meal.
She's going to Erewhon to buy the meals, and she's actually spending more.
Yeah. So
so she's losing money on this whole deal. But she's like, it was all worth it. And that's kind of the last scene in the movie.
Right. Except for the post-credits sequence.
Oh, I was in the bathroom when that happened.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, boy. If you were hoping...
Is it like sequel bait?
That they would tease a Hat Man 2, that's exactly what we got at the thrift store.
Oh, that sounds good.
Somebody's like going through the hat collection, and there, underneath the pile of all this assorted hats...
What was it?
Is the Hat Man's hat.
Oh, cool.
As though you couldn't have predicted that.
I was just over there in the bathroom, so I could hear, and he said, like, I bet there's a cool coat that would look good with this.
Right.
And then, like, I finished peeing, and I came out, and I was like, what was that? So, yeah, this movie was real interesting. I was Googling it afterwards, and I went to the Rotten Tomatoes page. It's flying high at 28%.
What's the audience score?
Oh, like 90.
Okay.
And like, here's some of the quotes I saw. A. Dowd from the AV Club wrote that was uncommonly and at times unbelievably inept. Kaylin Corrigan from Bloody Disgusting wrote that the movie had poorly developed characters and muddled mythology. And Jake D, writing for JoeBlow.com, cut right to the chase and wrote that it was dog shit. What were our reactions, Mike?
I was entertained.
I liked it a lot. Like, I think I expressed clearly that I wasn't exactly scared.
Right.
But it was like, it was cozy. You know, it was like being in there were lots of like people dozing scenes.
Yeah.
And that was pleasant to
It's
watch.
sort of like the Animal Crossing of movies.
I'm not a big
Cozy.
gamer, but I assume that means it was like nice and pleasant.
Yeah,
and you had a good time.
non-threatening.
Yeah.
Doesn't get your pulse pounding. Regular colored knuckles. Sitting entirely within your seat.
My nails are exactly the same length as when we
Right.
started the movie.
Right.
Yeah, so this was a great rental.
And I think like at my age, like if I watch a movie and it feels like the people who made it cared at all, then I'm appreciative of
I
that.
know, yeah, like compare this to like The Electric State or something like that. And it's like the Hat Man probably cost like 1/100th
Right.
of what The Electric State cost. And it's a lot more entertaining. All that is to say, go to the video store if you have one near you and check out something you haven't seen that's not around on streaming, because there's lots of treasures out there to be found. To end things out, I want to do something like a plugs and rants kind of thing. Like anything you want to plug.
Oh, yeah.
And anything you want to get off your chest. This is your time. So I'll go first. I'll plug Kindergarten the Musical on Disney Plus and Disney Junior. All episodes are out now. Watch it. It's a fantastic, fun show for kids. There's great songs for adults can enjoy also. And then my rant, it kind of only applies to the like 0.5% of us out there who are still collecting Blu-rays and DVDs. When they put out like the Ultimate Edition, like this is the Mission Impossible collection, the Ultimate Edition, and it's like 5 movies. It's like Ultimate means final. So this already isn't the Ultimate Edition because there's like 7 of these movies, or like Harry Potter Ultimate Edition. Yeah. You see these for a lot of stuff. It's like, you can say it's the Ultimate Edition, but then you can never put out another edition, or you're a liar.
I'm with you.
Thank you. Do you have any plugs or rants you want to get?
Yeah. You can listen to my Star Wars podcast, Who's the Boss, on which you have been a guest.
That's right.
A good number of times. What would be a bad number of times?
0.
0. But you've been on more than 0 times. Mm-hmm. You could have also gone to my panel at Star Wars Celebration in Japan.
You can listen to that now, though.
Yes. I'm sure by now, if I've done my due diligence and brought the things I need to bring with me electronically and technologically, you can listen to the recording of my panel at Star Wars Celebration 2025. What else? Laughingplace.com. That's pretty much it. Do I have a rant? If I haven't had a shower in a couple days, I will often find myself wishing that I had a team of people that could clean me with like a high pressure hose and
like a power washer?
Yeah, and like big scrub brushes on extended handles like Bruce Willis in 12 Monkeys.
Or like in prison.
Do they do that in prison?
I think they scrub you down, maybe.
Okay. But yeah, Bruce Willis comes back from the surface where there's supposed to be this virus in 12 Monkeys, so they have to like kind of keep their distance. So I don't want anybody touching me.
So this
I
is
just feel like
this
in
is like
prison
a
you can wash
fantasy of
yourself.
yours. Right.
Yeah. I just like, I'm very lazy, but I like to be clean. And those two things are often
at odds.
Yeah, because I don't want to, like today I didn't shower.
Okay, so I asked you for a rant, not like a wish.
Okay, hang on, let me see what else I can come up with. I was thinking the other day about how Zathura is the forgotten stepchild of the Jumanji verse.
Right, yeah.
Because, first of all, here's the head. This is a good rant. This is an actual rant. The headline I saw coming out of CinemaCon, which is happening right now, Dwayne Johnson and Jack Black will return for Jumanji 3.
Which it will be the fourth one.
Okay? Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. I go and look on IMDb. This is going to be the fourth movie with the word Jumanji in the title. And then there's also another one called Zathura, which is a spin-off of Jumanji.
It exists in the same universe?
I don't know, but I think so. But either way, there is still at least 3 pre-existing Jumanji movies.
Okay. Yeah, that was a rant. Good rant. So that'll do it for this inaugural episode of Forgotten Video Store. Thank you so much, Mike. I treasure your friendship. Let's do it again sometime.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Forgotten Video Store. Please do me a quick favor and subscribe and rate and review the show if you've got a minute. And most importantly, share this show with your movie-loving friends and family. For now, I'm going to release episodes bi-weekly because I believe in bi-representation. Another way to say that is every other week, fortnightly if you're nasty. So I'll be back in 2 weeks with an award-winning TV writer discussing the legacy sequel to a holiday classic. You're what the French call les incompetents.